In this video, I'm going to share with you my process to sell more web design services with an easy and efficient technique. Hello, I'm your host Casino from Casino.com. I'm the digital alchemist, and today's the day I share my mini audit technique. So it's a simple technique that I've already talked about in a few videos, but I never really broke it down. So today I want to break it down and show you how I use this technique to actually sell more web design services. Oh, and by the way, in this video I talk a lot about the client, but what I mean is more the prospect at this stage. So first of all, we'll talk about the performance, then the branding, then the UI and the design, then the UX and the conversion, and then the mobile. Now, of course, I could go more in depth, but the idea here is that you want to do this in real time with the client. So this is not something you want to spend too much time on. You really want to do it real time, because the idea is that it's going to help you close more web design clients, not give you more work. You already have enough work. And the process is pretty easy, it's pretty simple. You just need to learn it, then rinse, recycle, and repeat. Now, of course, the more experience you have, the better it's going to be, but hey, you need to start somewhere. So let me show you the process. Okay, so the first thing we need is a website to actually audit. So what I did is I typed Buffalo Plumber, because why not? And then I went straight to page number 10. Now, why page number 10? Just because my guess is that the websites on page number 1 are doing things right. So I went straight to page 10 and I landed on this website. So this is the website we're going to mini audit. And the first thing we're going to mini audit is the performance. So the next thing I'm going to do is to check the website speed. Now, bear in mind that while I'm doing this, the client is actually with me. So he's with me in the office, or it could be a video call, but basically I want the client to see what I'm doing because I'm doing it live. So I'm just going to paste the URL here, and bear in mind that Pingdom Tools is not the ultimate truth. It's just a way to check if things are okay or not. Now, of course, you could go way deeper, but that's not the idea here. So let me start the test. Okay, and here are the results. So if the client was here, I would say, well, it's a performance grade C, 77. The page size is fine. The requests, it's okay, could be better, and the load time is not that bad. So I'm actually wondering why it's giving this C grade, and there are a few answers here, but basically I don't want to go into too much detail. Obviously there are things that should be improved, but the page size and the load time is quite good. It's less than a second actually. So while I'm doing the mini audit, I'm not trying to find issues where there aren't any issues. I'm trying to be genuine with the client. Now, one thing you always want to check is that there is SSL, so secure socket layer on the website, and here it's the case, so that's good. Now, if you are in the EU, for example, you would also want to check whether the website is GDPR compliant, and there are other rules in the US and in many countries in the world, but you get the idea. Okay, next we want to talk about branding. Okay, so when I talk about branding, of course, I'm talking about the logo, but I'm also talking about the color palette and basically the overall impression. But then I will talk about the design later. So right now I want to focus on the branding only. Okay, so starting from the top down, we have the logo. It's a typographic logo and there's nothing wrong with that. But in my opinion, it's a bit weak. The logo is really long, but that's the name of the business. And there's nothing that make it stand out from any other plumber that would use the same type of font. And this is something you really want to stress to the client, but in a diplomatic way, because maybe they did it themselves. Maybe it took them hours, if not days, if not weeks, to actually craft this logo. So you really want to pay attention to what you're saying, but you can tell them that it would be better for their business if they have a more recognizable brand. And that's an opportunity to actually sell some branding services if you offer the services, or maybe you're outsourcing the services. The idea is that you don't want to sell them everything. You don't want them to be overwhelmed. But at the same time, if they want to get a return on investment, if they want to stand out, you need to tell them what needs to be done. And even if you don't offer the service, then maybe you can refer someone to them that does it. And it's going to help them tremendously, because branding is really the foundation. Okay, next we have serving Minneapolis, St. Paul, and surrounding suburbs since 1971. So I'd like to see how that plays out when you're on a mobile version, and we'll check the mobile version later. So next we have the color palette, and here the color palette is really basic. It's blue and red, which all plumbers use, and there's nothing wrong with that because it really works with the industry. But when it comes to branding, either you're gonna do like everybody else, but then you need to make it look really good with nice fonts. There are many shades of red and blue. and you can find complementary colors, or you want to actually do the opposite of what the rest of the industry is doing so that you can stand out. For example, in the banking industry, most banks used to have like the same type of colors, and more we see new banks with killer branding with totally different colors. But you need to be careful with that because the psychology of colors is also very important, but you get the idea. Now, I see that Kensu Service is serving Minneapolis and that they clean all type of drains, but I don't see what makes the difference. So they could be using a slogan, they could be using a tagline that says why we should work with them, and I don't see that here. Okay, next let's talk about the user interface and the design. Now, when it comes to the design of this website, it's very obsolete in my opinion. But once again, you don't want to say it like this to the client because they might get offended. Maybe they spend a lot of time working on it, or maybe it's their significant other that did it. Maybe it's their children. You never know who did it. So you always want to talk about some objective things. And I know it's really hard because design is purely subjective. But you can say things like, it's well organized, but I see some shadows, this type of shadows here. And we don't really use this anymore. It's been really a while we don't use this. And you know, web design is like fashion. Every 2 years, every couple of years, things change and you need to keep up. Otherwise, you look outdated, even if the content is good, even if the structure is good. But those are the little details that really make a difference when it comes to the first impression that you want to imprint on your website visitors. Now, I would also talk about the lack of visual hierarchy because the logo here is huge. And then we have the navigation, then we have a lot of text. And then here we have request service in red and in blue. Now, of course, they want to draw the attention to request service to new and returning customers, and nothing wrong with that. But there are many things on this page, and it's like everything is screaming for attention. And the design, or maybe the lack of design, is what really strikes me. Also, they're using some old school techniques to try to rank, and obviously it doesn't really work because remember, we found them on page 10. So it's a lot of visual pollution here on this page. So in my opinion, there's not much design on this page. It's like a regular template. The background is really obsolete, and it's a pity because maybe they're offering really good services, but this is not design. This is just a page, an old school page. And one thing that always strikes me, and maybe I should have started with that first, but there is something that really strikes me on this page. Now, if you know what I'm going to say, just pause the video and let me know in the comments what I'm going to say. And if you know the channel, you might know what I'm going to talk about. But there's no image. There's no picture with human beings. I mean, we are human beings and we need to see emotions. We need to see images that convey something. The only image we have is this, and this is like, ew, this is like yuck. And I know this is what they're going to find in the pipes, and that's why they're plumbers and we need them. But do I really want to see this as the first picture on a website? I don't think so. So ideally, what I would tell the client is that, of course, there are plumbers and people are going to call them because they request their services. But the thing is, if I open 10 tabs with 10 different plumbers, why would I choose them over another plumber, and vice versa? So one of the ways you can really make a connection with website visitors is images. Like I said, we are human beings. We need to be connecting to other human beings, even if it's business, but we need that. Okay, so let's take a look at another page, and all the pages are basically the same. So there is really a lack of design, and that's where you can really chime in. You can really show your client the difference. So at this stage, I would open a new tab to show them what I mean with something I built. So I would tell them, okay, I built this website for a client in the restaurant industry, but you see the difference when you see human beings interacting, when you see faces, and especially when you see smiling faces like you see here. And then I would proceed on to show them, okay, that's the difference between design and non-design. So this was fine a few years ago, and I'm sure it was looking great at the time. But the thing is, like I said, it changes so fast. So you really need to adapt, especially because your clients are used to the new type of websites. So I would keep on showing them more examples to show them what I actually mean. And by doing so, it really makes it more real in their mind, because as web designers, we know what we're talking about, but the clients, for them, it's like mumbo jumbo. They don't always get what we're trying to say, and that's normal. That's not their business. So we really want to show them what you mean every time you explain something about their own website. Okay, next, let's talk about user experience and conversion. So when it comes to user experience and conversion, I always start with the navigation. And one of the rules I'm trying to follow is to not have more than 7 elements in the navigation. Now, don't ask me why, but apparently the brain doesn't like when there are too many things, and 7 will be like the maximum number. I'm trying to stick below 7. You can go up to 7, but if you can have 5 or 6, in my opinion, it's much better because it looks less cluttered and it makes it easier to actually stay on the website and then you start browsing. Whereas when there are too many options and too much information, it kind of makes you want to leave the website. So first of all, the request service, I understand this is what they want, but I wouldn't put it here because usually people are used to see the call to action on the right hand side. Now we have the homepage, services with a sub navigation, join our e-club. Why would I join an e-club for a plumber? At this stage, I don't know yet, but hey. Then we have coupons, blog, about us. Okay, I would do this a little bit differently. Cities we service, but I would put home, about us, then services. Then I might put the blog, and then for the rest, it's really a matter of which call to action do I want people to focus on. Do they want me to request a service, or do they want me to go and check the coupons? Do they want me to check the cities that they service, or join the e-club? Too many calls to action, and none of those calls to action actually stick out because, they all look the same. And the only thing I see is the big giant request service here in red and blue. So when it comes to the navigation, it could be much better. Now, when it comes to the conversion, I've already talked about the fact that there are no human faces. So for conversion, it's proven that using images with human beings actually boosts conversion. So that's the first thing I would do. Now, regardless of whether they're using photos or not, they should start by laying out the landscape, explaining the problem, and then the solution. Because right now it's like we clean all type of drains and you should do business with us. No, you need to lay out the landscape. So it could be there are many plumbers, but they're always busy. They are not reactive, and we are reactive. We answer within, 15 minutes, or we call you back, whatever. What is your unique selling proposition? And that's what you need to explain here before you can expect people to do business with you. Now let's take a look at the rest of the page. So Kensu Service delivering the highest professional, quality, friendly, residential and commercial clog plumbing and drain. You need to have shorter sentences, more like punchlines, and then you can have the rest of the text. It can be as long as you want, but if nothing stands out except from the request service, it's going to be hard for people to make a decision about why they should do business with you. I mean, this looks like a very generic website, which it is. It's probably a service that creates this type of website for thousands of plumbers across the US and other places on earth. So it really looks like it's from another time. But once again, this is not the way I'm going to explain to the client, but I'm just going to explain that conversion wise, this is not good because there's no conversion funnel at this stage. This is just like all the information and take what you want from it and do what you want with it. Whereas what we're trying to do, and once again, I'm going to go to the example here. So for this client, we want people to click on get a quote because that's what the client wants. So we're going to direct the user to actually do this. So how do we do this? So first of all, we try to establish that we are credible, and we do this with the design, we do this with the text, and then we lay out the problem, and that would be here. We lay out the problem, we have either the logo or a title here, impactful title. We explain the problem, and then we start explaining the solution. So why choose us? And then we land on the unique selling proposition. So 3 USPs, as I say, 3 unique selling propositions. Why should I do business with you? And basically that's what you want to explain in a very short and impactful way. Then when you click on testimonials, you see one testimonial. You can click to see all testimonials, and then you can take a look at the equipment. And if you look at the navigation here, it's more or less the same path. About us, we just want to lower the barriers when people think, okay, should I do business with them? they want to know who they're going to deal with. Then the equipment. Now, obviously, this is not a plumber, but this is for a company in the restaurant industry. So I want to see the type of equipment that they're selling, and the pictures are looking good. The information is short, sweet, and to the point. I can check the showcase, or I can go straight to the testimonials. And the testimonials is usually where it happens. People see other people like them that give a genuine testimonial. Now, you don't want fake testimonials. You really want real testimonials. But if you're in business and your clients are happy, that's going to be pretty easy. And then you got to get a quote here, which stands out in the navigation. Once again, you want it to stand out. It's on its own. It's big and bold. And then here I land on the contact page, and the website visitors can actually send the form. So basically, that's what I would tell the client at this stage. And then I would tell the client, don't you think that with images and a better funnel, you could actually draw more clients from your website? Okay, next, let's take a look at the mobile version. Now, for the mobile, usually what I do, still with the client in my office, or it could be the video call, I'm just going to right click. So I'm using Brave, or you could be using Chrome, and I'm just going to click on Inspect. And then by default, that will be the view you see. And then here you have the responsive icon. And then you can just choose the type of mobile phone you want to test. So here is the iPhone 5 SE. Let's pick the iPhone 6, 7, 8. And then I'm going to refresh the page. Okay, so now we have the mobile version. So I would go from the top, and basically I would do more or less the same thing I did for the desktop version, but I would explain to them that the mobile is actually more important than all the rest. Now, why do I finish with mobile last? It's just because for many clients, especially if you go in those type of industries, they're still checking their website on the desktop. So if you explain to them what goes wrong on the desktop, it's going to make it easier at the beginning, and then you can proceed on moving to the mobile version. Then I would explain to them that actually 6 to 8 or even 9 visitors out of 10 will see the website on a mobile. And here, when you check the navigation here on the mobile, well, it's really bad. I cannot say it otherwise. See how long that is? Do you really think someone is going to go through all of this on their mobile? I don't think so. So once again, you want to say in a diplomatic way, but they're really losing customers just with the navigation itself. So then we have the logo, and like I said, the tagline here, it's serving Minneapolis, St. Paul, and surrounding suburbs since 1971. It's really small. And here I'm looking at this on a big screen, so I can make it a little bit bigger and brighter. But on a mobile phone, more than likely you can't read what's going on here. Then for the rest, well, it's the same remarks that we had for the desktop version, but on the mobile, it's even worse because you need to scroll a lot, and there are just text everywhere and not many images. It's not really inviting the user or the website visitor to actually take some action, except the request service. But hey, I just landed and you're asking me right away request service. Now, of course, if you're in a hurry, that's good. But let's say I need a plumber because, I don't know, I'm going to build a new house and I'm looking for a plumber. And, I'm not just going to click right away because I landed on this page. You're not inviting me to actually do this. You're not inviting me to know who you are and why should I do business with you. Now, this was for a redesign, but what if the prospect doesn't even have a website to start with? Well, that's easy. Just do the exact same exercise, but with a competitor's website, and preferably a not well-made website. Okay, at this point, if you've done things right, your credibility and expertise should be an evidence for your prospect. And it's the perfect timing to give them a range of what to expect in terms of time and budget. Now, if they don't have the time, it's not totally lost. They may come back later once they've been through the cheap route and they now need the real thing. This has happened to me time and time again. But if they do have the budget, at this stage you have a good 80% of chances of closing this deal, at least in my experience. And by demonstrating that you are a true professional that knows what you do, you can pitch higher prices. So now you have all the keys to unlock new web design clients. All you need to do is practice. Now, if you want to see how I redesigned the ugliest website of all times, I'm going to link to a video where I show you how I went from this created this, and I'll show you all the process. And I think it's really interesting. The video is a bit long, but it's just like a mini course because it's really going to teach you all the steps I use when I redesign a website. So you'll find the link in the description below or in the video card at the end of this video. So I hope you got value out of this video, and if you did, I would appreciate if you could give this video a thumbs up because it really helps growing the channel. And if you want more web design stuff coming your way, make sure you subscribe and smash the notification bell so that you don't miss anything. Now I hope that all of this is going to help you close more deals, selling more web design services. And don't forget, I'm trying to build the content I wish I had when I got started. So I can't wait to see what you're going to do with all of this. So I'll see you in the next one. And until then, take care and stay safe.